Hello guys, welcome back to today's tutorial. We will be working with tables today, and as usual we are going to start with our document type declaration. Alright, so I have this guy, and then remember would have like our HTML element, and inside this guy we have a meta tag. This is going to have a character set of UTF-8, and then we have a title. Our web page is going to have a title. So for this one, we are going to call it final exam table. Final exam table. And then just below this HTML, we have, sorry. Okay, yeah, we missed something. Inside the HTML, we have like our head tag. And then, yeah, title. Alright, so just below this HTML, this head element, before the closing HTML tag, we'll have our body tag, because that's what's inside the body tag is what's going to display on our web page. All right, so the first thing we'll need to have is our table element. All right, so we'll have, you can decide to put this guy here and see final exam table, and then just below it you have your table tag. Now the table tag is going to have a caption, right? The caption would be final exam grades, final exam grades. And then just below this caption we are going to have a table head, right? A T head, table head. And then inside this table head we have a row, right? We have a table row. That role is going to be the role that you impute the table headers, right? You know, in a table you have like headers. The first row is always headers, so that's what we have here as the table head, right? So inside this table row we have our first table head or table header. Would say last name, first name, and then grade. So last name, last name, guy, first name. And then how I did that thing is I held shift and alt and then my down arrow keypad, right? So shift alt down arrow, you're going to get here. That's how I did that. Okay, so first name, and then the last one is grades. Yeah, grades. So the next thing we want to do is to have like a table body, right? So that's going to be below the table head, right? So we have our header, our table header, right? The first row is going to be table header. Now the table border, sorry, the table body is going to contain the data, the actual data, right? Okay, so think of this as a row. This is a row. This is your first row in your table. Now just below the table head you have your table body, right? Your table body. Now inside that table body we're going to have a table row. Now this table row is going to be your second row, but it's actually going to have data. Now so instead of th we're going to have td, right? So this now is going to contain data, right? So let's see Joshua's last name. Remember there are three headers, so you should have three data for each row, right? So Joshua, let's see, first name Emmanuel, and then let's give him a grade of 75. All right, so because of time, I'm just going to duplicate this data, right? So you can have different, it should be different data for each row, but I'm just going to duplicate. Let's have 3, 4, 5, and then add one more 6. All right, so the last part is going to be the footer of our table, and below the table body you want to have like you want to have this guy T foot. All right, and this is also going to be table row, so you're going to have a T arrow, and then you're going to have a TD nested inside that T arrow. Right, now this guy is going to have just two data, right? Average score, and then let's just give it a random value of 90. I have to calculate this, and then but then yeah, let's just give it 90. All right, so save this, and let's try to open that in our browser Lifesaver and see what happens. So this is what it looks like. Again, of course, it's not looking really nice because it's just HTML. But yeah, you can see that we have, this is our caption, this is our H1, our caption, and this is our table head, right? You see it's bold, and it's the first row. So this is that first row table inside the table head, and these are all the 6 rows we added as the table body, and this is the table foot, or the footer of the table. Now you remember that we had just 2 data in our footer, which is why we have it just displaying on the first column and the second column. Now, just in case you want your average score, you want this guy to span 2 columns, so from, let's say, this to the end of the second column, and then you want your value, which is 90, to be just below these guys here. You can actually make that work with the attributes of call span, right? So what you do, since you want it to span 2 columns, you'd go to, let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. All right, so back to this guy, you come to this table data, give it an attribute of call span 2. Let's save this and run it on Chrome to see our browser to see what it looks like. Great, so here you see that this guy is spanning 2 columns, so it pushes this guy to the last column, right? Pushes this guy to the last column. Alright guys, so that's it for today's tutorial. Thank you for joining. It's been really intriguing. I hope you learned something nice. See you in the next tutorial.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.